Hello and welcome to this new version of Yak. That's version 0.12, and it's kind of a transitional version because it's introducing a lot of new things, but those things are probably going to evolve a lot in the near future. So this is a first step. As a quick overview, we are now running the latest version of the Unreal Engine 4.25. We've got a new DLC for the Antiquity content. We've got a new UI. We've got a new way to move the pond through possession. And we've got some new content, as you can see on screen. So before I show you everything, I should remind you that everything that I'm going to say in this video is summarized in the updated PDF memo. So you'll find this memo clicking this button that will bring you on the documentation page of YAG here, where you'll find links, okay, in English and French. But you can also directly click this button that will bring you to the PDF. Okay, the PDF contains at the moment 3 pages: one for the player, one for the pawns, okay, and a graphic one, sort of infographic that summarize all the buttons needed to move the cursors and the pawns. Okay, so do not forget to check those links and this PDF. They contain everything that you're going to need. Okay, so let's start with the new DLC. That's the Antiquity DLC. You have to install it. So the way to do it is to go, for example, to the DLC page. You can look for DLC plus Antiquity directly on Steam and it will bring you to the page. Or you can go to the YAG website here, go to the Get It page, and then click on the Antiquity content here. So the goal for this, the reason for this DLC was really to split the medieval and medfan content because they were becoming too large. So basically I put all the Greek, Roman and Egyptian content from the medieval and medieval fantastic content here in their own DLC. So this DLC does not contain, all the content of this DLC is not new content, okay? A lot of it was just moved from the medieval and medieval fantastic DLCs. So you'll find, you know, the mythological monsters like the Gorgons, Centaurs, Minotaur, Pegasus, and so on in this DLC, plus some new content that we're going to see in an instant. Okay, so don't forget to install it. It's free as always, but you have to install it. Next, we've got the new UI, which is the real king of the show here. So now the UI is composed of a main menu that you can see on the left and top of the screen, and of windows. This menu is managing the windows, obviously. So first of all, you can show or hide the main menu using Control Space, okay, and you can show or hide all the windows displayed using Space. Okay, so Control Space and Space as always. Okay, so the left vertical part of the menu will be no surprise for anyone. You just click the button and instead of showing panels, they now show windows. Okay. The windows can be moved along as you wish and they can be resized. Okay. They are keeping their aspect ratio, as you can see, except for the journal that you can resize at your wish. So if you want a more horizontal journal at the bottom of the screen, you can do that. If you prefer a more vertical journal on the left of the screen, you can do that as well. So you choose. Okay. So for the moment, I'm going to put the journal here. Okay, so nothing really new here, just transform panel into windows. The good part of this new UI is that it is completely two-dimensional. It's not part of the scene anymore. So first of all, the UI will always be on the front of the screen wherever you go. So you can see that if I go very near the terrain and so on, the UI is still there. It's not masked behind the scene as it was previously. Another very important thing with that UI is that it is now independent from the post-process effect. So I'm going to. Oh, by the way, I forgot to. Yeah, I completely forgot that in the presentation. But we have now a way to manage favorites in the post-process and list of filters. Okay, so you just click anything you want it to be your favorite, and now you can display only the favorites or only the things that are activated. Okay, so just to show you, I'm going to activate a very spectacular effect. Okay, just black and white, and you can see that the UI is still there. Okay, so the UI is not affected by the post-process effect, which is very good news. Makes it all the more comfortable. Um, Okay, so now let's go on with the horizontal part of the main menu, which is brand new here. So first of all, this button is very important. While I'm not really sure it might be useful one day, but if it's useful, you see that it's very important. It is a button that will put back any displayed window in its default configuration. So let's say you have a window. I don't know if it's possible to lose a window, but let's say you put it on the far left of the screen, then maybe you change the resolution of the screen, and I don't know. I couldn't lose a window, but just in case you find a way to lose a window, you can now bring it back using this button. So the way to do it would be to switch off all the windows, then display only the window that you want to see and that you don't see anymore, and click the button, and it's back to its default configuration. So in principle, you cannot lose any windows, and in case you do, you have this security buttons here that you might want to use. So now about those buttons, those four ones here are buttons to use pre-configuration for your UI windows. You have four custom configuration available, and those four ones here is the same thing but for your camera configuration. So let me show you that. We are going to use the journal here. I'm going to position the journal, and let's say I want to make a day-to-day UI configuration. So I just need the journal and the screen. So I'm going to record this configuration on the first button here. And the way to do this is always the same for all the buttons. You hold the Control key and press the button, and there it's recorded. So okay. So all the time, Control plus click to save, and just click, of course, to record. So now if I close all the windows, I can just call back my journal clicking this button. So I can have this day-to-day configuration. I could have, for example, a combat configuration using the graphical UI here. I'm going to reduce the size of the character sheet manager here. Okay, so I can have my character sheet using them. This is obviously only a test, of course, and I'm going to assign this to the second button here. So again, Control plus click, and now I can close all the window, call back my journal, or go into combat configuration when needed, and so on and so on. You get the point. Okay, so you have up to 4 custom configuration, and you use them as you wish. Now this part of the UI is exactly the same stuff, but for your camera configuration. So let's say I love this particular view. I'm just going to hold Control and click the first button here. Okay, and when I'm away, if I want to come back to this configuration, I just click the button. It works also with attachments. So for example, let's say I'm attaching myself to this pawn here using the F key. I'm going third person so that it's more visible. So I like this view, and I'm going to assign it to the number 2 button. So again, I hold Control, click this button, and now I can come back to my general view here, or attach to Pegasus here as I wanted to. Okay, so again, you have up to 4 custom camera configuration. Okay, so this is it for the UI. Now I'm going to show you a new way of moving the pawn. So as a quick reminder, you probably remember that when you want to move pawn in YAG, you have to select them and then put the cursor somewhere. And when you release the right mouse button, the pawn will rejoin its cursor. Okay. Now you can attach yourself to a pawn. So I'm going first person here and attach to Pegasus, and it works exactly the same, except that now I remain attached to the pawn. Okay, so this is the way YAG has always been working, and it still works in this way. But now you have a new option, and this option can be found here in the setting panel. I'm going to increase its size so you can see better. Okay. And it takes the form of a small puppet checkbox here. And if I check this puppet checkbox, now when I attach to a pawn, it will behave completely differently. So as long as I'm not attached to any pawn, it works exactly the same. Okay, cursor, right click, and cursor and move and so on. But now if I attach myself to this pawn, I am possessing it. And what it means is that I cannot move it with the mouse, so you can see that I don't see the cursor anymore. I try to click it, but there is nothing. I try to right click and there is no cursor, and the pawn will not move. And the way to move it now is to use directly the displacement key WASD, QU, and E. So if I press W here, I'm going forward, I can go left, right, and so on. So of course I can choose a different camera configuration. So here I'm doing forward and turning left and right and so on. If I double click the mouse, the central mouse button, I go back into the default camera configuration, which again I can modify to my will. I can go up and down, of course. So let's see Pegasus landing. That's very beautiful. Okay. It works also in first person. All right. And finally, as an experimental stuff, I also mapped a few keys from the game controller. So here I'm not using the key anymore, I'm using my game controller, and you can see that I can control the pawn with the game controller. So at the moment, as I'm not a gamer and I do not have any experience of what standard buttons are supposed to be doing what standard function, okay, I have not mapped completely the controller because I don't know how to do it properly. So the only thing that is mapped on the gamepad, the controller, are the forward, left, right, which are on the left thumbstick, and the up and down button, which are on the right thumbstick. So do not try to do anything else with the controller. Nothing is mapped except for those very simple displacement. Okay. And this, of course, should be considered very experimental. This is just a test, but it's very, very pleasant. I'm going first person here. It's very pleasant to, visit a dungeon or go throughout your scene through the eyes of a character. It can be very good for immersion. Okay, you can do basically with the UI being already on the top of the screen and controlling your pawn at first person. You can basically, if you're a player and not a dungeon master, you can do the whole adventure first person, which is kind of cool for immersion. Okay, so this is it for the new things. So, oh, by the way, when you want to quit the possession mode, you have to go backward, okay? Because there is no backward animation in YAG. The pawns cannot go backward. If I ask Pegasus to go backward, it should just make a half turn, okay? But the pawn can only go forward. So the way I found to quit this possession mode is to go backward using the S key, okay? So as long as I'm possessing the horse, it will follow the displacement key, and if I go backward, I'm leaving this mode, and then I can take control of it the normal way. Okay, so do not forget that. All right, so I think it's all for the new features. Let's have a very quick look at the new content because it's kind of beautiful. So, well, I'm going to prepare maybe this one here. Okay, something like that. That's cool. I'm going to assign it to the first button here. So can we call it? So first of all, we have a bunch of new magic staffs, and they are really beautiful. We have 16 of them. I am only showing 4 of them here, but they are really cool. So we have a tray full of new staffs here. We've got a sort of antique barbarian warrior female here that comes with a few variation, as you can see. We've got a thief a woman again here. We've got the same model but with a more knighty and sort of knight clothes. So this is all of these are warrior female. Then we've got some very beautiful forest golems. They come with a lot of variation. We've got four of them, but they come with a lot of different variations. As you can see, we've got a tray full of them. And the second good news is that they also come in non-realistic um, version. So here we have a stylized version. Here, for example, we have the realistic version of that golem here. We've got the stylized version, very nice, and we've got a fully, toony version here. So the realistic versions are here in the Medfan section. Okay, and the toon version are obviously in the toon section here, where you have also a few variation for those golems. Okay, so very, very beautiful. Next, we have a few demons like Minotaur demon, blind gladiator, Minotaur demon, very beautiful. We have I just love the centaur demon here. They come with a few variations of colors as always. Here we've got how 5 new animal warriors like were bear, were bull, minotaur, were croco, and so on. And they all of them came in 2 variations, fully armored and more tribal version with only a loincloth on. So very nice. Oh, by the way, do not forget to, no, this is not the one I need. Do not forget, as always, to use this button here. I'm telling this in pretty much every video, but it will put some more variation into your pawns, by taking off a bit of the armor, so you can have fully armored, light armored, no armored with the tribal, or completely naked without the loincloth here. So do not forget to use those options. They can really bring some variety on your characters, depending on how you want to use them. Okay, next we've got a new vampire creature that kind of like comes with a few color variation. Here I'm only showing 2 of them. We've got a small toony werewolf, very cute, very nice. And finally, we've got 9 new prehistoric animals, and they are really, really nice. Okay. And they all come with a few color variation. They are here on this plate. And you can see that the prehistoric plate, the prehistoric tray is starting to really look nice now because we have a lot of variation. We have a few T-Rexes, a few Triceratops, a few raptors, and some more bizarre stuff like the Ankylosaurus, Brachiosaur, and so on. We have a flying pteranodon here. So very, very nice stuff, and the tray here is very beautiful. So that's it for the new content. I'm now going to show you a bit of the new DLC. Antiquity DLC. Oh yes, that's the antique museum here. So I'm going to load this one to show you a bit of the new stuff on this Antiquity DLC. So the forest is not new, obviously. This is the Roman version of one of the new theme for the dungeons. You can see we've got mosaic on the floor, and it's very, very beautiful. As far as content goes, we have a new temple, very nice temple, as you can see. I put the statue of a goddess inside the temple. We've got 2 giant statues. I'm going to show you the statue. Of course, you can, resize the statue as you wish. So this is up to you. We've got a bit of ruins here that can make a nice ambience. We've got some very nice mosaic, and finally we've got some a lot of new statues. So that's a bit of a museum here that I have put. We've got very nice and historical. Those are true statues. So that's very cool to make a sort of nice ambience. Um, I'm I will end the video by going into the dungeon here. So here we've got, you can see that in Antiquity we've got two new dungeon themes. The one that I'm currently showing you, which is more Roman in spirit, with mosaic and the floor. And we've got a new, more ruin, ancient Greek ruin theme. So let's try to put this theme. Okay, so here you have columns, you have stuff. It's quite an empty style. I didn't put anything in the center of the pieces because you can, populate it with the way you want. So you can put historical statues if it's your thing, but you can also put some more bizarre, like fantasy and so statues. So kind of rich. So I decided to not populate it automatically, so you can put anything that you want in this dungeon. Okay, so I think this is it for this video. We've shown pretty much everything that I wanted to show you. The new DLC, the new UI, the pawn possession, the new content, so everything is cool. Thank you very much for watching this video until the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and if it's the case, well, obviously, see you with pleasure in the next video. Thank you, bye-bye.